So now we come to chapter 20, which is on page 455. And yesterday we were describing how there's 3 chapters on Abhidheya. And the first chapter is establishing what is Shuddha Bhakti. And what is the principal verse of Shuddha Bhakti? Anya bilasita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktya uttama. This is Uttam Bhakti. And what is the distinction between Bhav and Bhakti was also discussed. Klesh Agni Shubhada Moksha Lakhuta Krit Sudurlabha. This Sandra Ananda Visheshatma Sri Krishna Akashani Chasa. This was discussed in the 19th chapter. So now we're coming into the 20th chapter. Don't forget the 19th chapter. Don't walk away from it and think, oh, we've done that, we've gone through there, now I can just park that. No, we have to keep that resonating on. I mean, this is like an evolving truth that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is trying to shower into the heart of the conditioned jiva. And it's an accumulation of all of these teachings that we've reached today. We've come through 19 chapters. We've come through what is Sambandha Gyan, deeply in the first 11 chapters, basically, 12 chapters of this Jaiva Dharma. What is the relationship, the ultimate relationship between Krishna and the jiva? And then in the subsequent chapter 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17, we've come through what is Shakti Tattva in the 14th chapter. We've come through what is Krishna Tattva in the 13th chapter. And we've come through especially what is Jiva Tattva in 3 chapters. Jiva Tattva, Jiva bound by Maya, and Jiva liberated from Maya. And then we had Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva in one single chapter, in the 18th chapter. It's all about the Jiva and his relationship with Ishvara. And that culminates in the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. That the Jiva is absolutely insignificant, yet he is a particle of the Supreme. He's coming originally from the Chit Shakti, via the Jiva Shakti. He's made of that Chit, that essence. But he's incredibly infinitesimal, so small. And Krishna is complete, Puna. This is the ultimate understanding that we must get. And this will create a natural humility in the heart. Without this natural humility, we can't move forward. Because if we're proud of anything in this material realm, what sort of qualification do we have to go to the spiritual world? Are you going to tell Lord Narayan or Krishna, don't you know I'm a great mridanga player? Don't you know I'm great at this? Hey, don't you know all my glories? I was doing this, I was doing that. Oh, I'm so, nothing can, the heart can't become soft. It's this softness, this is the quality of bhakti. Bhakti is warm, charming, beautiful, soft, delicate, sensitive. That's the quality of bhakti. So all these material qualities have to be purified. And this 20th chapter is now going to describe the angas of Vaidhi-bhakti. And this is essential for us to appreciate. It's like if ever you go into a Gaudiya Math for some time and you don't know these rules and regulations, you will get lots of slaps. Don't you know this? Don't you know that? Don't you know this? Don't you know that? Oh, that's...
Don't do this.
Yes, don't do that. Yes, and if you don't know these things, you're a fool because you don't know them. So therefore you have no qualification to go there. But when you understand what are the rules and regulations and you know how to follow them, then at some point in your life you can neglect them for a higher purpose. But if you don't know what they are, you'll be just treated like an ignorant child or like an animal. He doesn't know how to wash his hands properly. He doesn't know which side to face the deity. He doesn't know how to honor prasadam properly. He doesn't know what proper etiquette. He doesn't know these things. So first we should know these things. Otherwise you're in ignorance, you're like an animal. And people won't give you respect sufficiently to hear your, or to assist you properly. It's just a question of our respect for the process. There is a process, and it's called Vaidhi-bhakti. It's a process. We can't short-circuit it and pretend it's not there. We should understand it. So this 20th chapter is going to unpack it thoroughly. And at the end of the 20th chapter, what's the next chapter? It'll be approaching Raganuga. So then we'll be able to discard a lot of this. But if we don't know this 20th, you've jumped a step. And the danger of this imitation or sahajya will be, I've seen many times younger devotees in Radha Kund performing different acts, and they have no idea what they're doing. They're talking about rag marg and internal realization, but they don't even know how to act on the ground. So it's hypocritical. It's imitation. It's not real. They haven't properly imbibed the reality of this journey, of this path. So Vaidhi-bhakti is there. So we'll start. And this is still continuing the Abhidheya. Like I was saying yesterday, 3 chapters on the Abhidheya. Shuddha Bhakti makes the platform. Now this are the rules and regulations of Vaidhi-bhakti. And then will come the details of Raganuga Bhakti. And then after that will come the details of Bhav Bhakti. So it's in sequence, it's in process. How can you suddenly miss something out? It's like if you go to a school, you can't just jump a whole class. You'll be caught at some point because you didn't do this particular study of this particular topic. So this is Prameya, Abhidheya again, Vaidhi-sadhana-bhakti. Brajanath and Vijay Kumar returned to Brajanath's home before noon. Brajanath's mother, you remember they'd gone in the morning time to speak with Babaji. Now they'd come back for noontime prasadam. Was waiting for them and lovingly served them sumptuous prasad. On completion of the meal, uncle and nephew had affectionate discussions, and Brajanath gradually explained to his respected maternal uncle all the instructions that he had previously heard from Babaji Maharaj. So Vijay Kumar is catching up with the other 9 dasmulas that we've gone through already. When Vijay Kumar heard these nectarian instructions, he became blissful and said, "You are most fortunate. Sat Sangha is obtained only by great fortune. You have obtained the very rare association of a great saint like Babaji Mahashai, and he has given you substantial instructions about the highest goal of life, Paramartha." Paramartha is the topmost. Param, Artha. Artha means wealth, so the topmost goal. So this Sudurlabha, it's called, very rare. If we think that in this world, in this universe, there are many universes, but in this universe, something, 8 billion people, something like that? And how many people are actually practicing a pure spiritual path? And out of those people who are practicing a pure spiritual path, how many are going to become realized in that path? Most are going for moksha, which we've just described. And they're thinking that is spiritual life. You can see all the different societies and so on. They're all meditating on Om. Yesterday, was the day before, there was a video about thousands of people in Italy all meditating together and vibrating the name Om, which is certainly better than fighting each other in the streets. It's a step up, but at the same time, what is going to be the conclusion of that? What do they want? What is their aim? They want peace. They want peace in the world, so it'll give them peace in heart. But this is not what our object is. Our aim and object is not for peaceful. The gopis, were they thinking about, how I can become peaceful? The gopis were fraught with anxiety. How can I satisfy Krishna's calm? And the politics that go on in Braj are phenomenal. Between Chandravali, Saiba, Padma, etc. So many intricacies, and it's all about relationships. It's how they're dealing with each other. It's very beautiful. So, Paramartha. One who hears Bhakti Katha and Hari Katha certainly attains good fortune and well-being. But if these topics are heard from the mouth of a great personality, then good fortune comes especially quickly. You are learned in all the Shastras, and your scholarship of Nyaya Shastra is especially unparalleled. You were born in a Vedic Brahmin family and are not without wealth. Vijay Kumar is talking to Brajana. All these opulences now appear as your ornaments. The reason for this is that you have taken shelter of the lotus feet of Vaishnavas and acquired a taste for Sri Krishna's Leela Katha. A taste for the Leela Katha. This is important. As they discussed the supreme goal of life in this way, Brajana's mother entered and said to Vijay Kumar, "Brother, it is so long since you were here. Please encourage Brajanath to become a grihasta, householder. From his behavior, I am afraid that he may become some kind of sadhu. Several people have come with proposals for marriage, but he has taken a vow not to get married. My mother-in-law has also endeavored in this regard, but he is not convinced." Why is Bhaktivinoda Thakur bringing this up? Because in every single household in India, every single household, without doubt, go through this same thing. Every household. Isn't it true? Yes. She's Indian. There's not a single household that is not concerned with their children getting married. From an early age, I mean, previously, historically, they would get married at 6 or 7. They would make the certificate, and then when they matured at 20 or 25, then they would actually get married, but they would make the connection.
Astrologically.
Yes, whatever, according to their caste and creed and so on. Yes, astrology would have a lot to do with it. But what I'm saying is because Western audience people don't understand this. They just think, oh, whoever I'm attracted to, that's going to be my marriage partner. But in Indian culture, in Vedic culture, it's not like that at all. Actually, the Western culture is quite barbaric. It's just based on what is our personal choices. It's not out of respect for our parents. It's not out of respect for our ancestors, etc. It's just what I want. It's so selfishly based, actually. In Indian society, they have more culture. Indian society is most cultured, and this is part of the culture. So this is like the backdrop to the story that we've heard here, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur knows this is going to be relevant to every Indian who reads this. It's going to be completely relevant, because they're all dealing with the same thing. They either want to get married or they don't want to get married. Mothers harassing them, grandmothers harassing them. It's true. Yeah. Completely. And in every household. It's not just one or two, it's all.
And my mom saw my father just when they are completely married. She even didn't know who will be her husband. Like it's normal.
Yes.
They
This
don't
is-
know even who will be the
No.
husband. It's like they just see on the day when they're getting married.
Yes. They take the veil off,
Yeah.
and then they see for the first time. But they
And
understand the principle of the relationship is to produce families, produce children for the family lineage, etc., to support their parents in old ages. There's a whole cultural understanding. It's nothing to do with sense gratification, the way that we have the emphasis on that in the West. Of course it's sense gratification, but it's not the same depth of
With
sense gratification in the West. Huh?
It's with responsibility.
Yes, it's with responsibility all the way through.
And they live together whole life.
Regulated, yes, yes. It's very wonderful to appreciate this. It's like in every Indian home that I've ever stayed in, I see, a 50-year-old son staying with his mother. He'll touch her feet every single morning. And father, this mood of respect is a very strong platform for spiritual life. If it's based on these principles of respect, then you have support on your journey. But in the Western culture, often the kids will leave these days when they're 15, 16 and never even go back. They'll do whatever they want to do. And what is the result of that? Completely pagal individuals. They've got no support. Mentally dysfunctional, distorted, mental diseases. I don't think you even have hardly any psychiatrists in India. You don't have so much.
Nowadays only.
Oh, nowadays only, yes.
Before it was like unheard of.
Unheard of, yes. Correct. because they have this family support all the time. There's always someone to talk to.
Even if you do go back and spend time like I do, all my parents' friends are saying, it's so strange, why is your son living with you? And my mother loves it, but it's like everybody else thinks it's as weird as anything.
Get a job, get your own place.
Yeah.
Be separate.
Yeah.
Don't support your parents in old age. In the Western world, we have so many old age homes. You know, in India, not so many. Every family I know in India, they all have mother or father, old mother or father living with them. All of them. They all have them there. It's the culture. It's very rich. I think in Russia you have also much more of this. Not the same way, but Russia has something of a culture. I've sensed that.
They married and divorced, made and divorced.
Oh, This is we're just appreciating just Vedic culture and how powerful it is. Because actually this chapter is all going to enunciate what is Maryad, what is the etiquette.
Maryad, what is Maryad?
Means etiquette.
Etiquette.
Yes, how to behave. What is correct behavior? Write it down, you won't remember it. Maryad, remember. Okay, so I'm just explaining why Bhaktivinoda Thakur is bringing this in. The Western people might keep thinking, why we keep talking about this marriage all the time? Because we've had about 5 or 6 chapters where they're trying to pressure Brajanath into marriage. So it has a backdrop to it that we should appreciate. Please encourage Brajanath to become a grihasta household. From his behavior, I am afraid that he may become some kind of sadhu. They don't want their children to become sadhus. Once they become sadhus, they're very happy and proud, but they know that the child will never go back to the house again. Once they become a sadhu in a temple, then it's not etiquette for the sadhu to go back to his family house. It's described like vantasi. It's like eating your own vomit. Once you've left that home, then and become dedicated your life and soul to the supreme worship, then you have no more, because you know how dangerous that is. They'll just catch you again and influence you again to come back into the family. When a weakness of heart comes, you might just jump back into the family rather than stay on the journey. After listening to his sister, Vijay Kumar replied, I will stay here for 15 days and reflect carefully on this matter, and then inform you of my decision. Now please go inside the house. I just kind of always amused with the way, you know, this is his sister. She's in a woman's body. He's talking with Brajanath about spiritual matters. He doesn't want to be disturbed. And you please now, again, go in the house. Don't sit here with us, because you don't really have an interest in what we're discussing. We're discussing spiritual matters, but your mind is more focused on the material situation. So therefore you have no value in staying here.
Western feminist will have a field day with this.
Yes, I know. That's why I commented on it. Yeah, anyway, that's all Western rubbish,
Yes.
that they've put words around these things to try and make them acceptable, like feminism. I can't even say it properly, all these things, you know. Brajanath's mother left, and Vijay Kumar and Brajanath again engaged in talks about the supreme goal of life. The whole day passed like this. The following day, when they had taken their meal, Vijay Kumar and Brajanath... Vijay Kumar said, Brajanath, this evening, let us both go to Srivasangam and hear from Babaji Maharaj the explanations of the 64 Angas of Bhakti given by Sri Rupa Goswami. Hey Brajanath, may I achieve association like yours, birth after birth. Now Babaji Mahashai has described 2 paths of sadhan bhakti, Vaidhi-marg and Rag-marg. Frankly speaking, we are actually qualified for Vaidhi-dharma. Thus, we should understand Vaidhi-marg thoroughly and begin to practice sadhan before hearing instructions on Rag-marg. This is what I said at the beginning. Unless we understand this, how can we legitimately expect to go to class 2 when we haven't done class 1 yet? During his last talk, Srila Babaji Maharaj gave us instructions about the 9-fold Navada process of bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. we went through extensively. However, I do not understand how I should begin Navada Bhakti. Today we should understand this subject more deeply. So this wonderful inquiry. Vijay Kumar, who's a very mature devotee, is saying, I don't understand how to go forward. If you have that mood of not understanding, not appreciating, knowing that I don't have bhakti, that's the requirement to move forward. As soon as we understand our insignificance to some degree, then we can move forward to becoming significant servants of the Lord. But unless I understand my insignificance first, then how can we move forward? As they continued on in this way, it became evening. The sun's rays had left the earth and were playing with the high branches of the trees. Vijay Kumar and Brajanath left home and arrived at Shiva Sangan again. They offered their Dandavat pranams to the assembled Vaishnavas and then entered the elderly Babaji's kutia. Seeing how eager the Bhaktas were to learn, Babaji became very pleased. With great love, he embraced them and offered them each an asan. They both offered their Dandavat pranams to Babaji Mahashai's feet and sat down. After they had chatted for a short time, Vijay Kumar said, Prabhu, we are certainly giving you much trouble. However, you mercifully accept it because of your affection for the Bhaktas. Today we would like to hear from you about the 64 different angas of bhakti that Srila Rupa Goswami has described. Srila Rupa Goswami has described. If you think we are qualified, kindly tell us so that we can easily realize Shuddha Bhakti. They want to realize Shuddha Bhakti. They've heard about Shuddha Bhakti. Now what does realization mean? It means practicing. It means practicality. It means knowing what are the rules and regulations in your life. So your life is surrounded by a respectable activities. You're performing respectable. You're not disrespecting anyone because you know what is the etiquette. You know what is the maryad. You know what is the proper behavior. You won't put your feet in the wrong direction. You won't just sit on the floor and a speaker is sitting, then you just put your feet straight up. You wouldn't think to do like that. But someone who's not educated will do that. And someone who is educated will feel a little bit affront from someone who's doing that. Do you understand? It's all a beautiful construction of the path towards transcendence. When this mood of respect is generated deeply, it becomes very powerful support. I can remember once in an assembly on a Braj Mandal Prikrama that one lady got up. This was after my Gurudev had left, and she very boldly, she was actually an Indian lady, began to condemn the leaders for their collection actions, collecting money. And it was in a big assembly. There was about 400 or 500, 600, not more, 1,000 people in there. And we could actually perceive the structure that had been built of support for our spiritual crack, because it was like such an affrontive kind of behavior. It was completely discordant with the moods that we had been speaking previously. Do you understand what I'm saying clearly? It just like something really negative came into the atmosphere, which shattered the atmosphere that had already been gently constructed over many days to make a conducive atmosphere for our spiritual journey. It had just shattered it because it had brought in something really negative and disrespectful. So this is unfortunate, but we should appreciate how this disrespect can shatter the atmosphere in a spiritual assembly if we're not behaving correctly. Babaji smiled. Oh, yes, I'll read that last. If you think that we are qualified, kindly tell us so that we can easily realize. I wanted to emphasize this point. Realize Shuddha Bhakti. To realize Shuddha Bhakti means in my daily life. What am I doing in my daily? How am I acting and treating the world around me in my daily life? Not just in my head. You know, how is it going to translate? You see, that's how I understand this. Babaji smiled and said, "First, listen attentively. I will recite the 64 angas of bhakti as described by Sri Rupa Goswami, the first 10 of which are the basic preliminary angas. 1. The first 5 are about Guru, most important. 1. Taking shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Guru, Guru Padashraya. 2. Taking initiation and instructions from Sri Guru, Guru Diksha and Guru Shiksha. I'm not going to comment on any of these because Babaji or Vijay and Brajanath are going to question on all of these afterwards, so I'm just going to read them right through. 3. Serving Sri Guru with faith, Vishvasa Purvaka Guru Seva. 4. Following the path outlined by sadhus. 5. Inquiring about Sad-dharma, or the procedures of bhajan. 6. Renouncing all enjoyment of sense objects for Krishna's sake. 7. Residing in dhams such as Dwarka and near to holy rivers such as Ganga and Jamuna. 8. Accepting only as much money and other facilities as are required to sustain one's life. 9. Respecting Ekadashi, Janmashtami, and other days related to Hari. 10. Offering respects to Ashwata, Amalaka, and other sacred trees. The next 10 angas take the form of prohibitions. 11. Abandoning all association of those who are averse to Krishna. 12. Not accepting unqualified people as disciples. 13. Renouncing preventative endeavors. Renouncing pretentious. That's where you came today.
Exactly.
Yes. Renouncing pretentious endeavors such as pompous festivals, etc. 14. Refraining from reading and reciting many books and making novel interpretations of Shastra. 15. Avoiding miserly behavior in practical dealings. 16. Not being influenced by emotions such as lamentation. 17. Not disrespecting or blaspheming the devatas. 18. Not harassing any jiva. 19. Abandoning fully offenses in seva aparad, and in the chanting of Sri Harinam, Nam aparad. 20. Not tolerating blasphemy of Bhagavan and his bhaktas. You should understand these 20 angas to be the entrance to the temple of bhakti. The first 3, taking shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Guru, taking diksha and shiksha from Guru, and serving him with faith, are the main activities. After this are the following. 21. Adopting the outward signs such as tilak of a Vaishnava. 22. Wearing the syllables of Sri Harinam on one's body. 23. Accepting the remnants of garments, garlands, and so on that have been offered to the deity. 24. Dancing in front of the deity. 25. Offering dandavat pranams to Sri Guru, Vaishnava, and Bhagavan. 26. Respectfully rising from one's seat on having darshan of Hari, Guru, and Vaishnavas and greeting them. 27. Following the deity in procession. 28. Visiting the temples of Sri Bhagavan. 29. Circumambulation, parikram of the temple. 30. Performing deity worship, puja and archan. 31. Serving Sri Krishna like a king, paricharya. 32. Singing. 33. Performing congregational chanting of Sri Krishna's name, Nam Sankirtan. 34. Performing japa of the Gayatri mantras at the 3 sandhyas after first performing archavan. 35. Offering submissive prayers or entreaties. 36. Reciting bhajans or mantras in praise of Sri Krishna. 37. Relishing Bhagavat Prasad. 38. Drinking Sri Charanamrita, the nectar that has washed the Shri Krishna's lotus feet. 39. Smelling the fragrance of incense, garlands and so on that have been offered to Sri Krishna. 40. Touching the deity. 41. Viewing, darshan, Sri Murti with devotion. 42. Having darshan of arti and festivals, etc. 43. Hearing about the names, forms, qualities, pastimes, etc. of Sri Hari. 44. Always anticipating Krishna's mercy. 45. Contemplating, smaranam, Sri Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. 46. Meditation. 47. Servitorship. 48. Friendship. 49. Self-surrender, Atmanivedana. 50. Offering one's very dear items to Krishna. 51. Incessantly performing activities for Krishna's pleasure. 52. Full self-surrender, Sharanagati, unto Sri Krishna's lotus feet. 53. Serving Tulsi Devi. 54. Respecting Srimad Bhagavatam and other Bhakti Shastras. 55. Hearing and singing the glories of Sri Hari's Dham and his appearance places such as Mathura and circumambulating them. 56. Serving the Vaishnavas. 57. Celebrating festivals related to Sri Krishna in gatherings of sadhus according to one's means. 58. Observing the vow of Chaturmasya, especially Niyama Seva, in the month of Kartik. 59. Celebrating the festival of Sri Krishna's appearance day. 60. Shraddhaya Sri Murtaya Sevana, serving the deity with faith. 61. Bhagavat Shravana, relishing the meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam in association with Rasik Vaishnavas. 62. Sadhu Sangha, associating with bhaktas who are of the same mood, affectionate, and more advanced than oneself. Swajatiya Shushnigda Sadhu Sangha. 63. Nam Sankirtan, loud congregational chanting of Sri Krishna's name. 64. Mathura Vas, residing in dhams like Mathura and Vrindavan. Although the last 5 angas have been described at the end, they are nevertheless the most important. They are also referred to as the Panch Anga Bhakti, the 5-fold devotional service. All these angas are to be followed with body, senses, and the inner faculty, mind, heart, and soul in the worship of Krishna. So, those are the 64 angas, and these are going to be unpacked in the rest of this chapter.
In the end, Maharaj, he doesn't mention Navadvip 64. He mentions Mathura and Vrindavan.
Same.
Yes.
Non-different. They're non-different. They're non-different. One should be familiar with the non-difference. Goradam is Gupta Vrindavan. So Gupta Vrindavan, you can always substitute Mathura for Vrindavan. It's the holy dhams, basically. Okay? Many questions, perhaps. But they're all going to be answered in the rest of the chapter. These 64 angas of bhakti are very beautiful to hear, contemplate, and reconcile in our lives, that we're able to adjust every situation and to be comfortably following all of these items, regardless of the situations. We can always manage to have this support. These are all manifesting from Sri Rupa Goswami, who is the head of our line. So we should take them all very seriously. So tomorrow we'll begin to unpack them. You see, the first question Vijay asked, Prabhu, please give us some detailed instructions regarding Guru Padashraya. So we'll start there tomorrow. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Jaiva Dharma ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. So we come to our chapter 20 on page 460, and we read yesterday all the 64 angas of devotion that Rupa Goswami has categorized. And today we're going to unpack, actually the rest of this chapter will simply be unpacking all of these, right the way through the whole chapter. So we'll start. Vijay, Prabhu, please give us some detailed instructions regarding Sri Guru Padashraya. This is the principle, the first one. Babaji, when the disciple has become qualified for undivided Krishna Bhakti, he should take shelter of the feet of Sri Guru, and by coming close to the qualified Guru, he will learn Krishna Tattva. The Jiva becomes qualified for Krishna Bhakti only when he is faithful. That means his Nishtha has become completely fixed, his focus is totally unwavering on the nature of Guru, on the potency of Guru. If I have this unwavering, faithful veneration, faithful Sharanagat, faithful submission to Guru, Guru can very easily put within the heart these truths that he's carrying in his heart. It's a literal transmission coming from the heart of Guru into the faithful Shishya. By the influence of pious activities, Sukriti, performed in previous births, he hears Harikatha from the mouths of sadhus, and a strong faith in Krishna arises in him. This is called Shraddha. Together with Shraddha, the mood of taking shelter, Sharanagati, also appears to some extent. Shraddha and Sharanagati are almost the same tattva. Sharanagati is submission, but you can't be submissive until your faith has become strong. So the two are practically synonymous. The disciple is qualified for undivided Ananya Bhakti when he has developed the strong faith. Krishna Bhakti is certainly the best and highest attainment in this world. Thus I will accept Krishna Bhakti as my duty, and to that end I will do whatever is favorable for it, and reject all activities that are unfavorable. So we have the verse, Anyabilasita sunyam, jnana karmadi anavritam. This is rejecting. These are the prohibitions first, and then the tatashta, the swarup lakshan, anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhakti uttama. This is the key verse to understanding what is Shuddha Bhakti or Uttam Bhakti. Krishna is my sole protector, and I accept him as my exclusive guardian. I am very poor, wretched, and destitute, and my independent desire is not beneficial for me. My material independent desire. As soon as that independent desire comes from the soul, then I become encased in this material conception, this material atmosphere where I'm trying to exploit, because we've said many times the nature of the jiva is anand. Ananda Vyasat is the very intrinsic nature of the soul. It's full of bliss. And
now it's described Sharanagati, I think.
Sharanagati, yes. Sharanagati. So these 6 symptoms of Sharanagati: Anukulyasya Sankalpara, Pratikulyasya Varjanam, Rakshisyasyati Vishvasyo, Gopritva Varanam Tata, Atmanikshkepa Karpanya, Tadvidi, Sadvidi, Sharanagati. So these are the 6 symptoms that Bhakti Vinod Thakur has described. And we can post this verse on our WhatsApp and you can study that. But I'm sure the devotees understand what is these 6 symptoms. Anukulyasya Sankalpa, accepting everything that is favorable, rejecting everything that is favorable, accepting the Lord as my protector, as my guardian, and ultimately surrendering everything unto the Lord in great humility. These are the 6 symptoms of Sharanagati. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying here, or Babaji is saying here, that Sharanagati and Shraddha are practically the same. So we can meditate on this. Yes, he's saying this. Thus, I will accept Krishna Bhakti as my duty, and to that end, I will do whatever is favorable, anukulyasya, and reject all activities that are unfavorable, pratikulyasya. Krishna is my sole protector. This is rakshisyati. And I will accept him as my exclusive guardian. This is rakshisyati. I am very poor, wretched, and destitute. And my independent desire is not beneficial for me. Thus, following Krishna's desire exclusively is beneficial for me in all ways. When the jiva attains that qualification, he becomes anxious to hear instructions on bhakti and accepts shelter at the lotus feet of Sadguru. That is to say, he becomes his disciple and accepts instructions, shiksha, on bhakti. Tad vignaktam sagurum eva bijachet samit panir shrotayam brahma nishnaham nishtam mundaka upa. In order to obtain knowledge of that Bhagavat Vastu, the absolute truth concerning Sri Bhagavan, one should approach Sadguru carrying firewood for sacrifice. The qualification of Sadguru is that he is well versed in the Vedas, absorbed in the absolute truth, Brahmagyan, and devoted to the service of Bhagavan. This is the same meaning practically as the verse Tasmat Guru Prapadyeta Jignashu Shrayan Uttamam Shabde Pranishnantam Brahmani Ashrayam. The same, saying that Guru must be knowledgeable in all Shastra, not only knowledgeable but realized in all Shastra, and be totally detached from this material world. This is the qualification of Sadguru. Acharyavan Purusho Veda, Chandogya Upanishad 6.14.2. He who takes shelter of Sadguru comes to know that Parabrahm, comes to know that Parabrahm. So these are descriptions of Shraddha, Sharanagati. We're going through the stages gradually. The qualities of a Sadguru, bona fide guru, and that of a Sat Shishya, bona fide disciple, are given in detail in Sri Hari Bhakti Vilas 1.23.64. The essence is that only a person with pure character and Shraddha is qualified to become a Shishya, and only that person who is endowed with Sudha Bhakti, who knows Bhakti Tattva, and is of spotless character, simple, without greed, free from Mayavad philosophy, and expert in all devotional activities, is qualified as Sadguru. So when we come to the lotus feet of Guru, Guru will explain to us what is Jiva Tattva, what is Maya Tattva, what is Bhakti Tattva, what is Krishna Tattva. All these tattvas must be explained clearly. And this Jaiva Dharma is explaining every single one of these tattvas with great detail. A Brahmana adorned with these qualities and who is honored by the whole society can be Guru of the other Varnas. If there is no Brahmana, the disciple can accept a Guru who is situated in a higher Varna than himself. Apart from these considerations of Varnashram, the principal consideration is that whoever knows Krishna Tattva can be accepted as Guru. So we have Kanishta Guru, we have Madhyam Guru, and we have Uttam Guru. There are three types of Guru. But at least we should come to the Madhyam stage. Apart from these considerations of Varnashram, the principal consideration is that whoever knows Krishna Tattva can be accepted as Guru. If a person born in one of the higher Varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, or Vaishnava, finds the above-mentioned qualities present in a person born of a Brahmana family and accepts him as Guru, then he can get some facilities and favors in a society that respects the higher Varna. Factually, though, only a worthy bhakta can be Guru. So it's not dependent on caste. This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's made it very clear in the last chapter. This Varnashram is not, Bhakti is not depending on Varnashram system. And we discussed that in the Rai Ramananda Sangvad when we went through those different stages. Varnashram was presented first. respects the higher. Factually, though, only a worthy bhakta can be a guru. Of course, we are in process to coming to the lotus feet of Krishna, and that connection must be there in the guru to Krishna. Otherwise, what can guru give if bhakti is not there? The rules for testing the guru and disciple, as well as the determination of time, are given in the Shastras. The purport is that the guru will bestow his mercy upon the disciple when the guru perceives the disciple to be qualified, and when the disciple has faith in the guru, understanding him to be a Shuddha Bhakta. So it's from both sides. When the guru perceives the qualification of the Shishya, and when the disciple perceives and his faith is resolute in the competency of the guru, in the purity of the guru, then that connection will be very strong. Then sambandha will manifest. There are two kinds of guru, Diksha Guru and Shiksha Guru. One has to accept Diksha from the Diksha Guru. At the same time, one also has to take Shiksha concerning Archan, deity worship. There is one Diksha Guru, but there can be several Shiksha Gurus. The Diksha Guru is also competent to act as Shiksha Guru. My Gurudev used to say all the time that his Guru was like a Shiksha Guru to him. In other words, he had such a Vishrambha Seva towards his Guru that they had a very close, intimate relationship. So my Gurudev could ask familiarly all kinds of intimate questions to his Gurudev. And he often related to us that his Guru, his Diksha Guru, was like a Shiksha Guru to him. But it's not always the case. Every single Shishya is different. Every single disciple is going to be different. And the specialities of their heart's connection is going to be different. It's always going to be a unique situation for every single individual. Bhaktivinoda Thakur Babaji is just giving the guidelines here. But we should understand that every single relationship is completely unique. It has to be, because every heart is unique. Every guru is unique. Every individual is unique. Vijay, since the Diksha Guru is not to be given up, how will Gurudev give Shiksha if he is not competent to give Sat Shiksha? So, if we're wanting guidance and... Huh? Sat Shiksha means pure Shiksha. If we're taking Sat means pure. If we're taking... If we're... You have Diksha, but you want to take Sat Shiksha without giving up your Diksha Guru. This is the question that he's asking. This is what's going to be answered. Babaji, this is the requirement, you see. Before accepting a Guru, one should examine him to see that he is expert in the Tattva spoken in the Vedas and has realized Paratattva. This is the duty of the Shishya, of the Sat Shishya. If he is, then he will certainly be capable of giving all kinds of instructions about the absolute truth. Normally, there is no question of giving up the Diksha Guru. There are two circumstances, however, in which he should be abandoned. First, if the disciple accepted the Guru without examining the Guru's knowledge of the absolute truth, his Vaishnava qualities, and his other qualifications. In other words, it's the responsibility of the disciple. But then we say, if the disciple has no knowledge when he first comes, then how is he responsible? And that should be encouraged by the responsible person who is going to take the role of Guru to instruct the disciple in Tattva. And then by those instructions, the disciple should be able to discern, be able to understand whether this Guru is actually fully competent and capable to fulfill my desires to come to Krishna in full devotion. Understand? It's a lot depending on the disciple also. I'll read that again. There are two circumstances, however, in which he should be abandoned. First, if the disciple accepted the Guru without examining the Guru's knowledge of the absolute truth, his Vaishnava qualities, and his other qualifications. And second, if after initiation the Guru does not perform any function, he should be given up. Many passages in Shastra give evidence for this. So this is the evidence. Yo vyaktir naya rahitam anyena shrinoti ya tva abo narakam goram rajata kalam akshyam. Hari Bhakti Vilas 162. He who poses as an acharya but gives false instructions that are opposed to the Sattvata Shastras will reside in a terrible hell for an unlimited period of time, and so will the misguided disciple who mistakenly listens to such a false guru. In other words, both have responsibility, guru and disciple. We can't suddenly be with some guru for some time and then complain that the guru isn't sufficiently in knowledge.
What is it? False instruction?
False instruction is he's not directing you to take shelter of Nam, or he's giving you other indications apart from the pure principles delineated by Srila Rupa Goswami. If he's advocating that you should do so many different ceremonies and rituals and so on that are not in our Guru Varga, that are not clearly. What it means to know Tattva and know Shastra is to understand the words of all our previous acharyas. This is how we can understand Guru. If Guru is repeating the words of Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, if he's repeating these instructions, then we understand this is Sadguru. This is pure Guru. Guru should not innovate or speculate or change anything that the initial our line has proclaimed is most beneficial for the jivas. If all of a sudden someone starts to say, oh, you know, why are you wearing cloth in the Western? Why don't you just wear pants and a shirt? Is that what our Guru Varga has advocated? Is that what they've actually said? Like, that's a small thing, but at the same time, it's indicative of innovating. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada used to become very irritated when some of his Western disciples would try to speculate on the path and create newer and novel ways to perform kirtan, for example, with rock and roll bands and so on, thinking that, oh, this is going to be more compatible with the people. But actually, the sound vibration is not going to be as potent as a traditional kirtan will be. So things of that nature. It has to be time, place, and circumstance, but we should try to understand what is the heart and mood of our Guru Varga, and what do they want, how do they want us to present ourselves in the world, representing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and not to be speculative and think, oh, we have to innovate all the time. And you'll be innovating so much that you'll just forget about the actual truth. The actual reality will become diminished.
Do you think if
Huh?
somebody do some kirtana and use guitar, for example, guitar, and use this instrument?
These instruments can be used, but we should understand their limited nature. Just understand their limited nature. Like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, for example, he said we shouldn't even use harmonium particularly. So there are different considerations here in time, place, and circumstance. That's what I'm saying. According to time, place, and circumstance. But if a guru, we're talking about guru here, if guru is advocating something that is contrary to the mood and direction of our Guru Varga, that's when we can feel confident to stop taking instruction from that Guru. Just there. And everything else is going to be time, place, and circumstance. There are always considerations in every single circumstance. If there's no other instruments around, just a guitar, then it's played and people get joyously sad. But there's a difference between enjoying kirtan for ourselves, which is often goes along with the musical accompaniment. If the musical accompaniment becomes more prominent than the actual sound vibration of the Mahamantra, if that becomes more of the focus, then we're going to lose the potency of the Mahamantra itself. That can, when it slip into different types of presentations. But I think you understand the mood. False Guru. Guru apya avilaptasya karya karyam ajanata utpata pratipannasya pratigyago vidyate. Mahabharat Udyogya Parva 179.25 and the Narad Pancharatna 110.20. It is one's duty to give up a guru who cannot teach the disciple what he should do and what he should not do, and who takes the wrong path, either because of bad association or because he is opposed to Vaishnavas. This is the principle. If someone is opposing the Vaishnava line, a Vaishnava is representing the entire Guru Varga, particularly Rupa Goswami, and all our Goswamis. That's what a Vaishnava is. Someone said a question, I couldn't read it. So, because he is opposed to Vaishnavas, if we're not endeavoring to take the lotus feet of all our Guru Varga within our hearts, and we're looking to a different direction, this is a distraction. And we are familiar with so many gurus who have fallen down in the past themselves, and their disciples, sometimes they hang on to them and try to proclaim them as pure gurus, but actually the rest of the Vaishnava community is recognizing actually they're not pure gurus. So it's very individual. In each set of circumstances we have to examine closely. To try to say broadly is going to take away something, but we have to appreciate and be balanced in this. Avaishnavo padishtena matrena naryam brajet punascha vidhana samyagrahad Vaishnava Guru Hari Bhakti Vilas 444. One goes to hell if he accepts mantras from an Avaishnava Guru. That is, one who is associating with women and who is devoid of Krishna Bhakti. Therefore, according to the rules of Shastra, one should take mantra again from a Vaishnava Guru. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making it very clear that if one has come into that difficult situation where his Guru is actually in the falling down or in the process of falling down in a gross way, like it's described here, that he's associating with women, etc., looking for material enjoyment and pleasure, in other words, that he's not detached from this material world, then he can be rejected. The second circumstance in which one may reject the Guru is if he was a Vaishnava who knew the spiritual path and principles when the disciple accepted him, but who later became a Mayavadi, or an enemy of the Vaishnavas by the influence of Asat Sangha. So, I think all of us listening know many personal examples of these types of fallen gurus. We have a history of it, especially in this age of Kali, in this age now. There are so many persons who have endeavored on this path, but then they have become prone to bad association and have fallen from this path. Therefore, we've seen, personally in my life, I had 2 gurus prior to meeting Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and both of those gurus had had problems. So that was my error, not being educated sufficiently in spiritual truths to appreciate that at the beginning. But I was very young, I didn't know. All I knew was I wanted to chant Hare Krishna and come to Krishna. So the sincerity was there. So I was given mercy to come to a Sadguru. So many of us have also been through similar situations. So we have to, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is opening this out very clearly. It is one's duty to give up such a guru. However, it is not proper to give up a guru whose knowledge is meager. If he is not a Mayavadi or an enemy of the Vaishnavas and is not attached to sinful activity, in that case one should still respect him as guru, and with his permission one should go to another Vaishnava who is more knowledgeable and serve that Vaishnava and take instructions from him. We see in the life of Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself, his initial family guru, so to speak, was Bipin Bihari. And then he met Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj and took complete shelter of Jagannath. But he never disrespected his Bipin Bihari. There was no time when it's revealed that he disrespected his guru. Vijay, please tell us about Krishna Diksha and Shiksha. Babaji, these pages, we can speak for a long time on this, but I want to go through the whole chapter and you can get the whole picture, and then we can come to our conclusion. Please tell me about Krishna Diksha and Shiksha. Babaji, one should accept Shiksha about the process of archan, deity worship, and pure devotional service from Sri Gurudev. And one should learn, and one should then perform Krishna Seva and Krishna Anushilanam with a simple mood. Yeah, we should understand these truths. We will consider the angas of archan in more detail later. It is essential to take Shiksha from Sri Gurudev regarding Sambandha Gyan, one's relationship with Krishna, Abhidheya Gyan, the process of devotional service, and Prayojan Gyan, the ultimate goal. Okay?
It is in Shiksha Guru, the spiritual master.
Yes, we're talking about Shiksha. But take Shiksha from Guru. Take instruction. Here the word Shiksha means instructions. Shiksha literally means instructions. We have the Shikshastikam, the 8 instructions of Mahaprabhu. Shiksha means instruction. So we have an instructing spiritual master and we have a Diksha spiritual master. Here he's talking about receiving instructions from Gurudev in the process of Sambandha, Abhidheya and Prayojan. Vijay, what does it mean to perform Guru Seva with faith? Babaji, one should not consider Sri Gurudev to be a mortal or an ordinary jiva. Rather, one should understand him to be the representative of all the devatas, Sarva Devamaya. One should never disobey him, and one should always know him to be Vaikuntha Tattva. So if you disobey Guru, in any regard, it's indicative of your lack of faith in him. And therefore, you lose your qualification as a disciple in that sense. So we should take this very, very seriously. Vijay, what does sadhu marganu mananam mean? Nugamanam, marga nugamanam mean? To follow the path of saints mean? Babaji, sadhan bhakti may be described as the means one adopts to fix one's mind on Krishna's feet, but it is one's duty to follow the path that the previous great personalities, the Mahajans, have followed, because this path is always free from misery and hard labor and is the cause of all auspiciousness. This is what we're just saying. we have to stick very, very closely to our Guru Varga. If our apparent Guru is doing something that is not in line, then we have to question it. Clearly, is this, like there's been cases when, in our experience, when Gurus have really deviated, and it's been obvious, and there's other cases when it hasn't been so obvious, but still we have our Guru Varga to compare to. That's the line that we're coming in. So everything has to be according to the principles set by our Guru. And then it's very, very clear. There's absolutely no disturbance to the mind when our Guru Varga is very clear. Samirgya Shresham Hetu Panta Santapa Varjitaha Anavapta Smamam Purve Yena Shanta Pratishtirya Skanda Purana. No one person can perfectly define the course or path of devotion that one should follow, but the previous Mahajans, following each other in succession, have made this path of Bhakti Yoga clear and simple step by step. That means no one person can perfectly define the course or path of devotion. That individual, unique path to one's own soul's liberation from matter or connection with the Supreme in service is one's own devotion. But the pathway to begin to practice that pure devotion has been enunciated by all the Mahajans. He's saying it again and again, the same thing that he said before. In succession, have made this path of Bhakti Yoga very clear and simple, step by step. They have made it easy and have removed all the obstacles, great and small, so we can follow it fearlessly. We have, for example, Madhurya Kadambini by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, very clear, describing all the pitfalls on the journey. And then we have Bhakti Tattva Vivek by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself. There's many. And we have Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We have Clear Path by Rupa Goswami. And we have Hari Bhakti Vilas by Sanatana Goswami. Jiva Goswami has written so many compilations, the Sandarbhas example. And Krishnadas Kaviraj, he's given us the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita, the activities directly of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What did Mahaprabhu, what were his daily activities? How much would he associate with women? For example, there's a story that when all the Bengali devotees arrived in Puri, there was a confectionist who had a shop, and when Mahaprabhu was a young boy, he would go and he would take sweets from the shop regularly. And the confectioner's wife was very friendly to Mahaprabhu as a small boy. So this confectionist, he came to Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri, and he said to him, "Oh, and I brought my wife with me." Mahaprabhu immediately turned away. Immediately there was a reaction in his body, just the mention of a wife, another woman. And he didn't say any more about it, and that man understood not to bring his wife into the presence of Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu was so strict on this point, because that is the greatest allurement for sensual pleasure. And the weakened, conditioned souls will look to that direction for pleasure. So Mahaprabhu was, and in the case of Junior Haridas, so many examples in the life of Mahaprabhu. They have made it easy and removed all the obstacles, great and small, so we can follow it fearlessly. Therefore, it is one's duty to depend only on that path. Even if one is performing single-pointed, undivided bhakti of Sri Hari, his bhakti can never bring good fortune if he is violating the rules of Shruti, Smriti, the Puranas, and the Pancharatras. One should understand that such unauthorized bhakti will only be the cause of confusion and disaster. Don't speculate. We said this at the very beginning. Don't try and create something innovative, something novel. Stay with the traditional mood that our Guru Varga has given to us, especially through Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He gave us it very, very clearly. And he made some concessions, and we can follow those concessions, etc. But they're coming from him. Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidim Vina Aikantiki Hare Bhakti Upatyaiva Kalpite. The Brahma Yamal quoted in Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This is more or less saying one should very much hold to the authorized instructions of Shastra in all of our activities and not deviate. Understand all these things? Very clear. It's a strict path. If you want to enjoy matter, it'll be a strict path. But if you want to come to Krishna, it's a beautiful support. Either way, if you're anxious to come to Krishna, you will embrace this very deeply, very easily. Yes, I want to do what is correct by the Mahajans. Yes, I want to follow the authentic path. I want to chant mantras that Krishna will hear, will understand. I want to know those. So it'll be very supportive. But if I want to enjoy matter and try to distort it, then it'll be great confusion and disaster. If I try to do separately from Smriti and Shruti, the Pancharatna, and Puranadi, the Puranas, what they instruct. Vijay, please tell us clearly how unauthorized Hari Bhakti can be the cause of disaster. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to really come out with this. Babaji, single-pointed and undivided consciousness in Shuddha Bhakti is only obtained by depending on the path given by the previous Mahajans. Mahajanayena Gatasa Panta. One cannot attain single-pointed consciousness if one leaves the path of the previous Mahajans and creates another path. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada became so angry in so many different instances. The older devotees can relate to us. It's written. Different directives that he gave when he would say something and then they would do something completely contrary, thinking that this would actually be more pleasing, but it's not more pleasing. The bona fide path is pleasing. One cannot attain single-pointed consciousness if one leaves the path of the previous Mahajans and creates another path. Consequently, Dattatreya, Buddha, and other teachers who were not able to understand Shuddha Bhakti accepted a shadow of this mood and propagated the very insignificant paths of Mayavad Mishra, Bhakti mixed with Mayavad, and Naishtakata Mishra, Bhakti mixed with atheism. They did this for a purpose. Dattatreya is actually the manifestation of Vishnu. And Buddha is also Buddha avatar.
It means Buddha.
Buddha avatar, yes. So they had a specific purpose in mind for that. They wanted to distract those people who only had a material tendency in their heart away from the purity and speciality of Shuddha Bhakti, so that the bhaktas would be protected in their path and that it wouldn't become covered by the Mayavadis. So they had their own separate Mayavad path of Buddhism, of those that followed Dattatreya also. Bhakti mixed with atheism. They designated these as single-pointed Hari Bhakti, but in reality, the paths that they put forward are not Hari Bhakti at all. They only create immense confusion and spiritual disaster. Now, in the bhajan of spontaneous devotion, Rag Marg, there is no regard for the rules of Shruti, Smriti, Purana, Pancharatra, and so on. The only concern the followers of this path have is to follow the inhabitants of Braj. But sadhaks who are qualified for Vidhi Marg must depend only on the path of Bhakti shown by Dhruva, Prahlad, Narad, Vyas, Sukha, and other Mahajans. If you want Braja Prem, even though Braja Prem, we can say, is beyond the rules and regulations, But if you don't follow the path of the Mahajans, then you will step off the path of Shuddha Bhakti. This whole topic can be discussed for days, actually, to open it right up, to explain it clearly. That is why Vaidhi Bhaktas have no alternatives but to follow the way of the sadhus. If we follow carefully in the footsteps of the sadhus, then all auspiciousness will come to our lives. Vijay, what is the meaning of being inquisitive about Sad-dharma and the procedures of bhajan? That's an interesting question. Babaji, Sad-dharma means real dharma, or the dharma of real sadhus, and one should inquire enthusiastically to understand it. Yes, one should inquire enthusiastically just to understand that, not to look for some fabrication on it, not to read, for example, many worldly books by materialists, by people who are not following the four regulative principles even, and yet they are putting forward theories about love and so many different things of this nature. If you actually immerse yourself in those conceptions, then you're going to stray from the path of the you're going to not have so much faith in the path of the Mahajans. You're going to be thinking that, oh, these are new agey type of ideas. Yes, let me hear that, let me hear that. You know, and it's not it will not enhance your bhakti. This path of bhakti is very clear and defined. It's not speculative at all, not at all. But the way of the heart is very unique and individual. So we have to individually reconcile all these influences that will come to us. But the guiding golden rule is to follow the path of the Mahajans. To follow the path. Was Rupa Goswami reading different novel literatures that were around at the time? Was Sanatana Goswami reading different books and so on that were describing different aspects? If I think I'm so intelligent that I need so much inspiration from people who are not bhaktas, it's indicative of some difficulty, some fault within me. So what is the meaning of being inquisitive about Sad-dharma and the procedure of bhajan? Vijay, what does it mean to give up enjoyment for Krishna's sake? Good question. Babaji, material enjoyment, bhoga, means enjoying happiness from the pleasure of eating and so on. That bhog is usually opposed to bhajan. So bhajan becomes easy when one gives up such enjoyment for the purpose of Krishna bhajan. One should be controlled in his diet, in his eating. If he's always indulging in various foodstuffs that are not conducive for his bhajan, for his material health, then it's going to be difficult for him, without a doubt. Especially in this age, when so much of the foodstuffs on the market are completely polluted, etc. The devotees have to become very wise to know what is actually good for my body and what is not good for my body. That bhoga is usually opposed to bhajan, so bhajan becomes easy when one gives up sense enjoyment for the purpose of Krishna bhajan. If you're always taking, for example, snacks or something like that, that has no nutrient value, and you can't even offer that to Krishna, then of course it's going to be detrimental for any type of, and it's going to agitate the mind and the senses. If the senses are always allowed to be unrestrained and just take whatever you want at any time you want, if you're not regulated in your habits, it's going to be very difficult for bhajan. Very difficult. A person who is attached to material enjoyment is just like a person who drinks alcohol, for he is so much attached to the objects of his senses that he is unable to perform Shuddha Bhakti. Therefore, we should not enjoy material food, rather we should only honor and serve Bhagavat Prasad. My Gurudeva said so many times this same thing. Don't enjoy the prasad, but serve the prasad. One should protect the body that we use in service, and also give up all kinds of enjoyment on Ekadashi, Janmastami, Falgun Purnima, Nrsimha Chaturdasi, and similar days. We have the opportunity to practice restraint on all these days. On Ekadashi, we fast until midday, etc. On Janmastami, we fast all day. On Nrsimha Chaturdasi, we fast until moonrise. So these are very good habits for the devotee to develop. This ability to fast when it's necessary. And if you're on a plane, for example, and they're just providing cooked food by other people, you have no idea what's in it, then try to fast. Actually, if you don't take any foods on a plane journey, you won't suffer any jet lag. It's a scientific fact. People have done it. They've fasted on an 18-hour journey, flight, and they've had absolutely no jet lag whatsoever. But if you constantly indulge the senses, they're going to become agitated. This is the point. It's all very simple. I think this is very basic, what we're saying here. No need for discussion on it. And similar. So, Ekadashi, these. Vijay, what does it mean to reside in dharmas such as Dwarka and places where the Ganga and other holy rivers? Near the Ganga and other holy rivers. Babaji, faith and steadiness in bhakti, bhakti nishta, arise in the places where Bhagavan's blessed appearance and other pastimes took place, and near pious rivers such as Ganga and Jamuna. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he once commented, why are so many of the people in Bengal so pious? And he said, because daily they take bath in the Ganga. This will create a piety in the heart, because Ganga Devi is so pure. If we have that opportunity, even if it's for a few weeks, if we come visit, etc., then it's so advantageous to our bhajan to associate like this with these holy rivers. Faith and steadiness in bhakti, bhakti nishta, arise in places. Oh, I just read that. No. Did I read that? I didn't read it all. Faith and steadiness in bhakti, bhakti nishta, arise in the places where Bhagavan's blessed appearance and other pastimes took place, and near pious rivers such as Ganga and Jamuna. Vijay, thus if one resides in Sri Navadvip Dham, one becomes purified. Is the Ganga the cause of this, or is there another cause as well? Babaji, aho, one receives all the benefits of residing in Vrindavan if one resides anywhere within the 16 kroshas of Sri Navadvip, and especially if one resides in Sri Mayapur, Ayodhya, Mathura, Gaya, Kashi, Kanchi, Avantika, and Dwarka are the 7 holy places that give liberation, but among them Sri Mayapur is the most important dham. The reason is that Sriman Mahaprabhu has caused his eternal abode, Svetadvip, to descend here. 4 centuries after Sriman Mahaprabhu's appearance, this Svetadvip will become the most important dham, above all the other dhams on earth. By residing in this dham, one becomes free from all kinds of offenses and attains Shuddha Bhakti. Sri Prabodhananda Saraswati has accepted this dham as non-different from Sri Vrindavan. In fact, in some places, he has shown that it's even more glorious. Prabodhananda Saraswati, he's written this Vrindavan Mahimamrita, the glories. We have 19 satakas, they're called, of the glories of Vrindavan. But he's also written the many glorifications of Mayapur Dham, of Gora Dham, and they are non-different, essentially, but there is a speciality in Gora Dham. So it's interesting that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying 4 centuries after Sriman Mahaprabhu. 4 centuries is the time when Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself begins to uncover the Dham. In Bhaktivinoda Thakur's lifetime, in the late 1800s, is when he wrote the Navadvip Dham Mahatmya, etc., and the Navadvip Bhav Taranga. When he wrote these books uncovering the holy Dham. So this is when it began with Because when Bhaktivinoda Thakur was growing up, there was no knowledge of where was the Yog Pit. There was no knowledge of any of the different islands which they were, which they represented, where was Mayapur, etc. Because Ganga Devi had carved through the land so much over 400 years that everything had become changed from when Mahaprabhu was present. So it's up, Mahaprabhu, Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself is that personality who put this Dharma clearly for people to understand. This is one of his greatest gifts. So many gifts Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given. So we'll stop here. So many interesting points, and I'm just going very briefly through all these points. I'm sure we can have many discussions about all of these points, but the principle that we've discussed today is Mahajana Yena Gata Sapanta, to follow the path of the Mahajans, and not to be speculative in any of our dealings or activities, but to stay very close to the Guru Varga's directives, and then we will be successful in Shuddha Bhakti. Otherwise we will slip off the edge very easily. So we'll continue tomorrow from Vijay saying, what does it mean to adopt appropriate means to sustain one's life for practicing bhakti? So we'll go from there tomorrow. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Ananta Gauda Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Go Premanandi. So now we're coming to our chapter 20, and yesterday we read we talked about the injunctions of Guru, following Guru, particularly the first 5 angas of bhakti that were described, Diksha Guru and Shiksha Guru. This is what we discussed yesterday. So then we were talking about residing in Vrindavan. That was the final thing we were saying. And we've come halfway down page 467, or 3/4 of the way down. Vijay, what does it mean to adopt appropriate means to sustain one's life for practicing bhakti? Very interesting question. Babaji, it is said in the Naradiya Purana, Yavat syat svan nirvahara svi kuryat tavad artavit adikye nyun yatyam cha chaivate paramartaha. A wealthy person should accept as much wealth as he requires to follow the rules and rituals that sustain his bhakti. Accepting more or less than necessary is a cause of falling down, even from the highest level. So all these shastric injunctions, as we've just been talking about, are to support our journey on our path. They're all to help us enhance. And as much as possible, we should try and incorporate them into our lives. One who is qualified for Vaidhi-bhakti may earn his livelihood by some proper means according to Varnashram Dharma. It is beneficial to accept wealth according to one's necessity. Accepting more than necessary results in attachment, which gradually destroys one's bhajan. It is not beneficial either to accept less than necessary, because the resultant scarcity will also weaken one's bhajan. So it's a balance. We take what is necessary, nothing more, nothing less. Bhagavad Gita is saying the same in that 6th chapter. Therefore, as long as one is not qualified for complete detachment, nirapeksha, one should accept wealth and so forth to maintain one's life and to follow Shuddha Bhakti. So as much as possible, we should be accepting whatever karmic fruitive results have come to us. Accept that without striving for more. That striving for material gains is going to hinder our energies and enthusiasm towards bhakti. If we're always looking for a material goal, You understand? If I think that I have to have, you know, a better place to live to perform bhakti, if I'm always agitated by this idea, that's going to distract me from my focus of time, because it's pushing me into the future rather than allowing me to live in the powerful present. The powerful present is perfect for bhakti. Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj has said the environment is always favorable for bhakti. It's always favorable. If bhakti is our intention, if that's our intention, then it's always there. Everything is there. But if I become disturbed and agitated, wanting to change my situation all the time, wanting to upgrade my material status or whatever, then that's going to be detrimental. It's going to be an obstacle. Vijay, how does one observe Harivarsha? Vasara. Babaji, the term Harivarsa refers to pure or unbroken Shuddha Ekadashi. Mixed Vida Ekadashi must be given up. In cases where Dwadasi is Mahadwadasi, Dwadasi should be observed instead of Ekadashi. This coming Monday is Mahadwadasi. Ekadashi is on Sunday, but it's not good for fasting, so we observe it on the Monday instead, for example. One should observe celibacy on the previous day and then spend the day of Harivarsa fasting without taking water. One should stay awake the whole night, incessantly engaged in bhajan, and on the next day one should observe celibacy and break the fast at the proper time. This is proper observance of Harivarsa. So this is the proper observance. Whether we can do that or not is up to us, but at least we should know what is the standard. If we don't know what is the standard, then we're in ignorance. We should know what is the standard. It is not possible to observe Nirjal fasting. It is not possible to observe Nirjal fasting, i.e. fasting without drinking water, without giving up Mahaprasad. I don't understand that. It is not possible to observe Nirjal fasting without giving up Mahaprasad. If one does not have the ability or strength to observe Harivarsa properly, there is a provision for alternative arrangements, anukalpa. According to Hari Bhakti Vilas, a representative may fast on one's behalf. That's interesting. Okay? These are what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. Upavasetva ashaktasya ahit agneya atapi va putran va karyed anyan brahmanan vapi karyet. Hari Bhakti Vilas 12:34. If a Sagnika Brahmana is unable to fast, he may arrange for Brahmanas or his sons to fast on his behalf. Sagnika, I'm not sure what that means. Sagnika Brahmana, I'll check. The method of fasting through Harivasyana and so on is described as follows. Naktam Havisyana Manodanam Va Phalam Tila Shiram Atambu Charyam Yat Pancha Gavyam Yadi Vapi Vayo Prashastam Arotraram Uttaran Cha. Vayu Purana, quoted in Hari Bhakti Vilas 12:39. Yeah.
A Sagnika Brahmana is one who keeps the fire going without it turning off.
Okay, very good. So, a Sagnika Brahmana keeps the fire going.
Yeah.
Never turns the fire off.
Perpetual fire burning in his house for the sake of performing yagya.
Okay, so if one is doing that and is unable to fast, then he can arrange for a Brahmana to fast on his behalf. In the evening, instead of grains, one should take other foodstuffs. harivisyana, such as fruits, sesame, milk, water, ghee, panchagavya, and air. In this list, each item is better than the one before. According to Mahabharat, Udogya Parva, Astatyena Vrata Gnani Apo Mulam Phalam Paye, Havir Brahmana Kamya Cha Guru Vachanam Osadam. The following 8 items do not destroy one's brat, vow: water, roots, fruits, milk, ghee, the desire of a brahmana, the words of the guru, and herbs and medicines. Very clear. Vijay, how does one offer respects to trees such as the Ashwata and Amlaki? Babaji, Ashwata Tulasi Datri Go Bhumi Sura Vaishnavaha Pujita Prananta Dayata Shapoyanti Nrinam Agam. Skanda Purana. All of one's sins are destroyed if one remembers to perform puja and offer obeisances to the Amalaki and Pipala trees, Tulsi, the cows, Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. One who is qualified for Vaidhi-bhakti must maintain his journey in life while staying in this world. To do this, he is obliged to worship, meditate on, take care of, and offer obeisances to useful and shade-giving trees, such as Pipala, to fruit-bearing trees, such as the Amlaki, to worshipable trees, such as Tulsi, to cows and other useful animals, to Brahmanas who protect society by giving instructions on Dharma, and to Vaishnavas. The Vaidhi Bhaktas protect the world by performing these activities. Very beautiful. We see in the life of Hiranyakashipu was diligently trying to destroy all of these things. In particular, in the 7th canto it's described, he ordered his demon soldiers to kill the cows, to chop the trees down, to stop the fire yajnas, etc., to restrict the Brahmanas from invoking the mercy of the Lord. He understood the potency of the Vaishnavas. So today we have in society is very much opposed to this Brahminical Vedic culture. They chop the trees down everywhere. They do so many wicked things on the planet. So the Vaishnavas are always oppressed by these sinful activities. But in our own lives, we try to, as much as possible, honor all the cows, the trees, etc. The Vaishnavas are doing, and therefore we are becoming purified just by that intention. And if that intention is there, Krishna has the potency to manifest his mercy in that regard. There will be merciful forests and trees in the holy places, etc., where the Vaishnavas reside, like in Giriraj Govardhan, for example. There's many Vaishnavas who are planting trees constantly all around Govardhan. And here in Bengal, in the Mayapur land, for example, there are many trees being planted. So it's good. Vijay, please tell us in detail about giving up the association of people who are averse to Krishna. Okay, good question. Babaji, when bhav appears, bhakti becomes very strong and deep. But so long as bhav has not risen, it is necessary to give up the association of people who are opposed to bhakti. So when bhav arises, you don't have to separately make an intention to give up bad association. Automatically that will be there. But when bhav has not arisen, we should be very cautious about our association. Understand? The word sangha, association, indicates attachment. This is what sangha means. It means attachment. Sangha does not just mean being near other people and holding conversations with them. Sangha takes place when there is attachment in the proximity of, in that proximity and conversation. It is quite wrong to associate with people who are averse to Bhagavan. Association means sharing your inner intentions. If you're sharing your inner intentions with someone who's not a devotee, they're simply not going to appreciate your devotional sentiments at all, isn't it? They won't have any understanding of really what you're talking about. And they will bring in the material conception, or why are you wasting your time? Why don't you just get a job, get some money and be happy? They won't understand, you see? It is quite wrong to associate with people who are averse to Bhagavan. After Bhav has arisen, one never has any desire to associate with such people. Consequently, those with the adhikar for Vaidhi-bhakti should always stay away from such association. And association means sharing. Dadati pragnati guyam. This is the example of association. The creeper of bhakti, bhakti-lata, becomes dried up by aversion to Krishna, just as polluted air and too much heat destroy trees and plants. So we must be very cautious about our association. And in today's world, our association either online as well as our association offline, so to speak. If we're associating in various social platforms with all kinds of people who are not particularly favorable to Krishna consciousness, that's not necessarily going to support our bhakti. We have to be cautious, give ourselves a chance here. Vijay, who are those people who are averse to Krishna? Babaji, there are 4 kinds of people who are averse to Krishna. Those who are devoid of Krishna bhakti and are attached to sense enjoyment, Vishaya. Those who are attached to associating with women, Stri Sangi. Those whose hearts are polluted by Mayavad philosophy and atheism. And those who are entangled in karma. One must give up the association of these 4 kinds of people. One should examine one's association and be very cautious. Vijay, what should we know about not accepting unqualified people as disciples? Babaji, it is a great fault to accept many disciples in order to gain wealth. To make many disciples, one must also accept those who do not have shraddha. But it is an offense to accept unfaithful people as disciples. Only those who have shraddha are qualified to be disciples. Others are not. If you have a great Siddha Purush or Mahapurush like Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, they have the capacity to accept millions of disciples without any disturbance to their own bhakti at all. But if you have a much, much lesser qualified guru, they're going to be influenced by the neophyte nature of their unqualified disciples, and it can just be really detrimental to one's bhakti. Vijay, what is the significance of giving up pretentious efforts in arranging festivals and so on? Babaji, briefly, one must perform Bhagavat Bhajan and maintain one's life at the same time. If one engages in extensive material activities, he becomes so attached to them that he cannot fix his mind on bhajan. My Gurudev describes sometimes in a temple, if we're spending all our time arranging for all the festivities and so many different details have to be attended to, and then we actually tend to forget the reason for the festival itself. We tend to not give ourselves sufficient time to meditate on the personality that we're celebrating, or the particular appearance or disappearance day, etc. Because we're so externally, busily engaged with the body. Bhajan means the internal reflection, introspection. That's what bhajan means. When it's external, it's archan. And archan is concerned with rules and regulations. So this Vaidhi Bhakti is very much an external consideration. At the same time, it will influence our internal mentality. It will, definitely. If we're following carefully, we will become very strong internally, isn't it? What about giving up studying, teaching, and interpreting various kinds of books? Babaji, the Shastras are just like the ocean. It is good to study with discrimination books on the subject in which we require to take instruction. but we will not get full knowledge on any subject by reading fragments of numerous books. Especially intelligence related to Sambandha Tattva will not arise if one does not fix his mind in studying attentively the Bhakti Shastras. Be careful to take only the direct meaning of the Shastras, for indirect interpretation, speculation, leads to the opposite conclusion. I said this yesterday, we were talking about this yesterday, how if you think that there are so many books in the marketplace that can enhance various aspects of my material life, and we're taking instructions from there. Who are the people who have written those books that we're being influenced by? They're not bhaktas. They're not focusing or wanting the goal of devotion to arise in the heart, and they're giving all kinds of other, perhaps it might seem to be closely related to bhakti, but in the ultimate it's probably not going to take you to bhakti, because the person who's writing it isn't a bhakta. Vijay, what does it mean to give up miserly behavior? Babaji, we must collect suitable items for food and shelter during our sojourn in this life. There is difficulty if we fail to obtain these items, and also if we obtain them and then lose them again. Therefore we should not be perturbed when such miseries occur. Instead we should keep remembrance of Bhagavan within our minds. In any circumstances, according to our various karmas, we should be able to reconcile whatever situations we come into, whether it's a lot of wealth or not so much wealth. In either situation, I just want to go on with my bhakti. We see, for example, in the lives of the Goswamis, they had nothing at all, but they were completely on the highest transcendental platform. So wealth is not a requirement under any circumstances, but at the same time we should have sufficient to be able to conduct our various material activities without any hindrance. It shouldn't be an impediment. Krishna will always provide ananyas chintayamam yejana paripasata. He will always provide what we lack and support whatever we have. Preserve whatever we have. Vijay, how can one be saved from lamentation, anger, etc.? Babaji, if one's consciousness is full of sorrow, fear, anger, greed and madness, Sri Krishna's spurti, manifestation, will not appear. It is natural to feel sorrow and illusion when one is separated from friends, or when obstacles prevent us from fulfilling our desires, but it is not proper to remain under the sway of this sorrow and illusion. One will certainly feel separation when separated from a son, but one must remove that sorrow through remembrance of Sri Hari. In this way, one should practice fixing the mind on Sri Bhagavan's lotus feet. So we each have to consider these directives in our own lives to the best of our ability. Vijay, you have said that one should not disrespect the Devatas. Does that mean we should perform their puja? Babaji, we must have undeviated bhakti towards Sri Krishna, who is the root Devata of all the Devas. One should not worship any other Devatas, thinking them to be independent of Sri Krishna. At the same time, we should not be disrespectful to others who offer puja to those Devatas, to these Devatas. One should respect the Devatas, understanding them to be all servants of Sri Krishna, but one should always only remember Krishna. Undeviating bhakti will not arise in the jiva's heart until he is freed from material qualities. One whose consciousness is covered by the gunas, sattva, raja and tama, will perform puja of the devata, of the particular guna by which he is influenced, and he will have a particular faith, nishta, according to his qualification. Therefore one should be respectful towards the worshipable devatas of different persons. By the mercy of these devatas, the consciousness of those worshippers will gradually become free from material qualities. I'll read that again. By the mercy of these devatas, the consciousness of those worshippers will gradually become free from material qualities. So, what's the offense? I think it's the third offense to consider.
Names of the demigods, like Lord Shiva,
Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, to be equal or independent to the name of Lord Krishna. So we should be very cautious about this. My Gurudev used to go into many houses, usually in India, and see if they had so many other demigods on the altar. And he would always encourage them to put the demigods in another altar, but just keep a single altar reserved for Krishna, for Bhagavan's incarnate, like Lord Nrsingadev, etc., Mahaprabhu, to worship it with one pointed focus. If we have many devatas that we're... Devatas can sometimes give you material benedictions, but is that going to give us bhakti? Bhakti is a very exclusive path. All of these rules and regulations are giving us the opportunity to really diligently focus on what is Shuddha Bhakti. We've just discussed Shuddha Bhakti in the previous chapter. Now this is going to be supportive of Shuddha Bhakti, all these regulations, etc., especially with the devatas. Of course we honor and respect the devatas. Without the devatas we couldn't breathe, we couldn't live. There would be no wind, no fire, no rain, nothing without the devatas. So of course we honor and respect them, but we don't worship them separately to Bhagavan. Vijay, please explain about not giving anxiety to other living entities. Babaji. Shri Krishna is very quickly satisfied with one who maintains a compassionate mood towards other jivas and who does not give them any kind of anxiety through his body, mind and words. Compassion is the main dharma of the Vaishnavas. This is like the dharma of the Brahmins. The Brahmins, their dharma is forgiveness and compassion also. So the jivas, the Vaishnavas, are always looking to be compassionate, but with intelligence, with education. It's like not necessarily you have to give to every beggar that you see. That doesn't indicate compassion necessarily, but there's a balance. Sometimes we can give and sometimes not, according to circumstances. But we shouldn't just be anxious for welfare, material welfare work. That is not our material welfare work is to distribute books to people so they become educated in these topics. That's our welfare work, that's our compassion, isn't it? To give them strength to actually come out of their unfortunate position and take shelter of Krishna. This is the greatest compassion you can give to anybody. Vijay, how does one abandon offenses in seva aparad, and in chanting Sri Hari Nam aparad? Babaji, one must very carefully give up the seva aparads in deity worship, archan, and nam aparad in general bhakti. There are 32 kinds of seva aparad, including entering the temple, wearing shoes, or sitting in a palanquin. There are 10 kinds of nam aparad, including blaspheming saints and disrespecting Sri Guru. One must certainly abandon these 2 categories of aparads. So one should be in knowledge of what are all the different aparads, what are the 32 seva aparads, and what are the 10 offenses. Daily we should have, or regularly examine what are the 10 offenses. And the first, which is mentioned here, is blaspheming devotees who have dedicated their lives to propagating the holy name of the Lord. This has to be constantly remembered by the devotees, because this whole world is certainly crackling with envy, and we get contaminated by that atmosphere, and we tend to criticize each other very easily, and this is very, very detrimental. If we remember personalities like Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, he would never even hear slightly any criticism of any devotee. We should try and model our existence on personalities like that, who will not even want to hear anything negative. That's the whole topic. Vijay, you have said that we should not tolerate hearing blasphemy of Bhagavan and his bhaktas, Does that mean we should fight with the blasphemer? Babaji, those who blaspheme Sri Krishna and the Vaishnavas are opposed to Sri Krishna, and their association should be given up in any way possible. We should just leave those people who are opposed to Krishna. We have nothing to do with them. We don't want to be near them or to have any association, any time with them. We should be separate from them if they're not wanting to focus on Shuddha Bhakti. All of these instructions, each individual has to take in his own life, in relationship to how he's living his life. It is a very individual journey here.
Maharaj, I remember reading somewhere in our Shastra, like, if someone's blaspheming, then you should, I forget the specifics, but I remember one of them is like...
3 of them.
Yeah, it's like,
yes.
Kill them.
Cut his tongue out.
Yeah.
Or if you can't do that, then leave.
Yeah, leave.
And then, that's the last one. Or at least take all your clothes off and jump in the Ganga and purify yourself. It's so contaminating. The point of those 3 ideas is to realize how shocking it is to actually listen to someone blaspheming the devotees. It's so detrimental to our bhakti. So detrimental. We don't want to hear it ever. Vijay, you mentioned that these 20 angas of bhakti are especially significant. What is their connection with the other angas? Babaji, the remaining 44 angas are included within the 20 angas that I have described. They have been presented as different angas in order to explain them in detail. The 30 angas from item 21, accepting the symbols of a Vaishnava, to item 50, offering one's dearest possessions to Krishna, are included in the path of deity worship, Archan. So now we're going to go into a list again. We'll read through a few of these and then we'll stop. So 21, accepting the symbols of a Vaishnava means wearing a necklace of tulsi beads around the neck and applying tilak on 12 parts of the body. 22, wearing the letters of Sri Krishna Nam means writing the names Hare Krishna or the names of the Panchatattva on the main parts of the body with sandalwood pulp. 23, Srimad Bhagavatam 11.6.46 recommends that we accept the deity's remnants, Nimarlaya. Tvyapa Bhukta Sragada Ganda Vasho Lankara Charchita Uchista Bojino Dasyastava Mayam Dhyama Jayema Hi. Wearing the remnants of garlands, sandalwood paste, chandan, clothes and jewelry that you have worn, and taking the remnants of your food, we, your servants, will certainly be victorious over your maya. So all this is supporting our victory over the illusory energy. 24, dancing before the deity of Krishna. 25, offering prostrated obeisances, dandavat pranams. 26, standing up when one sees Sri Vigraha coming, abhutana. 27, following behind the deity in procession, anuvrajya. 28, going into the temple of Krishna. 29, parakram means to circumambulate the deities at least 3 times, keeping them on one's right side. My Gurudev used to say always 4 times. And if you ask any of my Gurudev's disciples, why are you doing 4 times round? They'll all say, because Gurudev said. Nobody seems to know why the extra one, but we all do it because that's what he told us to. So very simple. We just
it accumulates over a lifetime and becomes a lot of extra parakrams.
But it's always symbolic. It's like chanting our mantras. Why do we chant our Gayatri mantras 10 times? To honor that particular Ishtadev of the mantra. So when we circumambulate, we're honoring we're showing respects to the personality that we're circumambulating. And doing 4 times is increasing that respect. But I don't know the significance, except my Gurudev said that. Parikram means to circumambulate the deities at least 3 times, keeping them on one's right side. So always, when we're doing parikrama, it's always on the right. The Muslims, they always have it on the left. If you see any parks and there's Muslims going around, they're always walking the opposite way to the Vaishnavas. Just because they do everything opposite.
If you go anti-clockwise, it's like somehow more entangling in the material.
Absolutely. That's what happens in a wedding. In a wedding, you go that way round, so you're entangling yourself. Confirmed. 30. Archan means performing worship puja of the deity, Sri Murti, with different articles. 31. Paricharya means performing seva for Sri Krishna just as for a king. Paricharya tu seva pakaranadi parikriya tata parikriyanaka chatra vad inrata yai vadit radya upasana. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-261. This paricharya is of 2 kinds. One is to clean the paraphernalia and to perform worship, and the other is to perform seva with a chamara, to hold an umbrella, to play musical instruments, and so forth. So the different ways of honoring the deity as a king. There is no need to explain the next few angas separately in any detail. So I'll just read through a few more. 32. Singing. 33. Congregational chanting of Sri Harinam. 34. Humbly expressing one's mind in words. Vignapita. 35. Chanting japa and mantras with archaman 3 times a day. 36. Reciting shlokas, stavapata, that glorify Sri Krishna. 37. Accepting and respecting foodstuffs offered to Sri Krishna, Naivedya. 38. Tasting with devotion the water that has bathed Sri Krishna's lotus feet. 39. Relishing the fragrance of incense and garlands that have been offered to Sri Krishna. 40. Taking darshan of Sri Murti. 41. Touching Sri Murti. 42. Seeing the performance of the arti ceremony. 43. Hearing the glories of Sri Krishna's Nam, Rup, Guna, Lila, and Katha. 44. Experiencing Sri Krishna's mercy everywhere and in all circumstances. 45. Contemplating Sri Krishna's Nam, Rup, Guna, and Lila within the mind. 46. Thoroughly meditating on Sri Krishna's Nam, Rup, Guna, and Lila, and offering service in the mind, Manasi Seva. So these are all very self-explanatory. So we'll just finish this list here. A little bit more. 47. There are 2 kinds of servitorship, dasyam, offering the results of one's activities and being a servant. 48. There are 2 kinds of sakyam, that which is based on faith, vishvasa, and that which is based on an attitude of friendship, maitri. 49. The significance of the word Atma Nivedana comes from the word Atma. From this come 2 principles of egoism of the embodied soul, namely attachment to the Dehi, possessor of the body, in the form of the Ahamta, I-ness, and attachment to the Deha, body, in the form of Mamata, minus. Atma-nivedana means to offer these 2 principles to Krishna. In other words, I'm offering my whole self, like Sharanagati, to the Lord. Vijay, will you please explain these 2 items more clearly? The egoism of the embodied jiva, Dehi Nishta, Ahanta, and attachment to the body and to things connected to the body, Deha Nishta, Mamata. So I think we'll stop here for today, and we'll carry on tomorrow, on Monday rather. So this is fascinating, having it all spelled out. We don't have to look in all the scriptures to find all these truths. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving it to us all in one complete, very small chapter. All the principal prohibitions, the rules and regulations that will support Shuddha Bhakti. If we carefully hear all these descriptions and gradually imbibe them more in our lives, that's going to have such a purifying effect on our entire life, consciousness, the atmosphere where we live and everything. It'll create a sattvic environment for us to practice, without a doubt. We must be cautious towards these rules and regulations and simply accept them. If we can simply accept them and to the best of our ability incorporate them, then we have had success in reading this chapter. If we try to battle with them and object to them, etc., etc., that's going to lead nowhere. That means we haven't understood the principal gift of the sages giving us these, the principal gift of Rupa Goswami giving us these angas. These angas are all for our benefit, to come quickly to the path of Shuddha Bhakti. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Ananta Gauda Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande. So we've come through these different chapters. We've just come out of the Shakti Tattva, and then it was Jiva Tattva, then it was Jiva's bound by Maya, then it was Jiva's liberated from Maya, then it was Abheda Beda. The Jiva and Krishna are one simultaneously and different. That was an incredible 18th chapter. And then the 19th chapter begins what is Shuddha Bhakti. And we had Anyabhilasita Sunyam as a principal cornerstone to understanding, a stepping stone to understanding that. We had the other verse, Kleshagni Shubhada, the progress to move from understanding what is bhakti. Then we must understand what is bhav bhakti, what is our direction. It's not simply just sadhan, but there has to be a focus to the sadhan. If there's no focus to the sadhan, then it's just empty, it's void. It's just ritualistic, it's smarter. It has no potency, but if it's focused on bhav, so Bhaktivinoda Thakur was making that very clear. And now in this chapter, so beautiful chapter describing all the angas of bhakti, the limbs of bhakti, 64 limbs of bhakti. All of these limbs of bhakti are all concerned principally with archan, which again is the bodily conception. This is archan, means the external concept. These are all external principles. But if we can't follow the externals, how do we expect to follow the internals? I was saying the other day how my Gurudev used to chastise the devotees sometimes, saying if you're drinking tea and coffee, you can't even follow this injunction. How do you expect to actually come into Braja Prem? You can't even do this. So we have to come up a little bit. The consciousness can do anything it wants to do. We have independence. If we want to embrace these angas of bhakti, we can do it easily. We just simply have to desire it, and then the mercy of Krishna will manifest, and the mercy of Guru and our Guru Varga will manifest to support us in our efforts. It's not out of the question for us to do this. It's not so difficult. It's not so beyond us at all. First of all, we start to control the tongue, what we say, what we eat, etc. This is within our grasp. It's not something so distant. It's hard in Kali Yuga. Everyone becomes by principally these cell phones don't help. Constantly bombardment with enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Confirmed. So we have to just be aware of the dangers. I mean, we're in the world of death, mrityu. This planet, there's death at any moment. And it's like a war zone right now, Kali Yuga. The demons are in control. So we should be ahead of the curve, so to speak, is what they say. Be ahead, be in knowledge, and be in knowledge of all these 64 angas. So we'll come. I think that we're on page 476. Did we discuss about the jiva being within the body as dehi, embodied? I think we'll start from the top of 476. Vijay, will you please explain these two terms more clearly? The egoism of the embodied jiva, dehi nishta ahanta, and attachment to the body and to things connected to the body, deha nishta mamata. Babaji, the jiva within the body is called dehi, embodied, or aham, self. acting with the false consciousness of I is called Dehi Nishta Ahankta, the egoism of the embodied Jiva. We just talked about that. And the consciousness of possessing the body or things that are related to the body is called Deha Nishta Mamata, attachment to things connected with the body. These two principles of I and mine are both to be offered to Sri Krishna. That's Sharanagati. Offer ourselves to Krishna. Atmanivedanam means to relinquish the consciousness of I and mine and to take care of the body with the consciousness I am Krishna's servant. We should be so proud of that label. Yes, look, I'm bound by the neck, a collar, like a dog by the collar, to Krishna. I'm bound by his mercy, by his love. It's such a proud label to wear. I am Krishna's servant. I'm not the servant of Maya. We should be strong on this point. I am Krishna's servant. I take Krishna's prasad and I use this body in Krishna's service. With resolute determination, we have to embrace this. Because if we don't, then we're taking Maya. Then we're embracing Maya. It's quite simple. You have one or the other. We're tatashta. It's one way or the other. You can't actually ride in the middle for very long. You can, and many do, and are constantly in disturbed minds because they're trying to ride through both. They're trying to hold on to some material pleasure, at the same time move towards Krishna. But it is a gradual process. It needs to be done. So it's like a horse. When you break a horse in, the horse has spirit, has heart. You don't want to break the spirit. And you put it on a long rein, and the horse runs around on a very broad circle. And gradually you pull the horse in as he's running around, closer, day by day by day. You pull the horse more under control. More. It's like the mind is like a wild horse. It gradually has to be reined in according to the rules and regulations. And these rules and regulations are beautiful. Vijay, how should we offer to Krishna things? Actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says in chapter 7, it's talking about I am a devata, I am a husband, I am a wife, I am handsome, I am ugly, I am wealthy, I am poor. So many things like that are saying again and again and again. And at the end, this is ahankta. And this is the idea of mamata also. And at the end of this, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, this colossal affair is called samsara. This is what is samsara. There's attachments to all these material identities, bodily conceptions. So how should we offer to Krishna things that are dear to us? Babaji, when we accept the things of this world that are very pleasing to us, we should first offer them to Krishna. This is what Srila Rupa Goswami means by offering the dearmost things to Krishna. Vijay, how should we perform all endeavors for Krishna's sake? Babaji, performing all endeavors for Sri Krishna's sake means that we should perform all material activities and all activities in regulated devotional service that are favorable for service to Sri Krishna. Everything is his way. Hari Seva. Vijay, how can one accept shelter in every way? Babaji, taking full shelter, Sharanagati, means to express the mood, O Bhagavan, I am yours. Hey Bhagavan, Tavaivasmi. And O Bhagavan, I am taking shelter of you. Hey Radhe, hey Krishna, Tavaivasmi. In the mind and out loud, always Tavaivasmi. Vijay, how does one perform service to Tulsi, Tulsi Seva? Babaji, there are 9 ways of performing Tulsi Seva: having darshan of Tulsi, touching Tulsi, remembering Tulsi, performing kirtan of Tulsi, offering obeisances to Tulsi, hearing the glories of Tulsi and pastimes of Tulsi, planting Tulsi, looking after Tulsi, and performing regular daily worship, Nitya Puja of Tulsi, and honoring Tulsi on Dwadasi, which means not touching Tulsi on Dwadasi tomorrow. We don't water Tulsi, we don't pick her leaves, we don't move her, we don't do anything with... It's Tulsi's rest day on Dwadasi. Devotees have to be very much aware of that. Again, that's honoring Tulsi by giving her her day. It's Dwadasi day. That's the day when we don't touch Tulsi. Vijay, how should one respect the Shastras? Babaji, the Shastras that establish Bhagavad Bhakti are the real Shastras. Srimad Bhagavatam is the best of all these Shastras because it is the essence of all Vedanta. Those who taste its nectarian mellows have no ruchi for any other Shastra. And it's true. Anyone who starts to read the Bhagavatam, immediately, all of them, I have many, many people that I'm helping through their connection with the Bhagavatam. You know, maybe 100 or more. And each one, when they read just the first chapter of the first canto, they get hooked. There's never been a single time when someone hasn't got that addiction to the Bhagavatam. Always it's the same. Because it's Krishna directly. This is what this Bhagavatam is. Vijay, what are the glories of Krishna's birthplace, Mathura? Babaji, all desires are fulfilled by performing the following activities in relation to Mathura: hearing, chanting and remembering, desiring to go there, seeing, darshan, touching, residing there and serving. You should know that Sridham Mayapur is also exactly the same nature as Mathura. It's not different. It's the same as Gokul, where Krishna was actually born in Vrindavan. When it's saying Mathura, many times it's indicating Vrindavan simultaneously. It doesn't mean the city of Mathura. It usually means Vrindavan simultaneously. Vijay, what is the purport of serving the Vaishnavas, Vaishnava Seva? Babaji, Vaishnavas are very dear to Bhagavan. So when we serve the Vaishnavas, we obtain bhakti towards Bhagavan. It is said in the Shastras that worshipping Sri Vishnu is greater than worshipping all the Devatas, but greater than the worship of Vishnu is worshipping the Vaishnavas, who are his servant, Sevak. Who is his servant, Sevak? What's that? Aradayo? No. Aradhanam Sadhavesham, Vishnu Aradhanam Param, Tasyat Paramram Vari, Smaracham, what's that? Aradhanam Sadhavesham, Vishnu Aradhanam Param, Tasmat Parataram Devi, Smararanam Dharasram. This is, Lord Shiva is speaking to Parvati. She's asking, who is a devotee? And Lord Shiva, he's responding, Aradhanam Sadhavesham, Vishnu Aradhanam Param. Those who worship Vishnu, they are to be worshipped. Vijay, what is the meaning of observing festivals according to one's means? Babaji, Mahotsav really means collecting articles according to one's means and using them in Bhagavan's service and in his temple for the service of pure Vaishnavas. There is no greater festival than this. There is no greater festival than this in this world. It's also saying in the 11th canto to Uddhav, Krishna says directly, one who honors me during my appearance and disappearance days, this is most pleasing to me. We should always honor these festivals. And we should know how to honor the festivals, be under no doubt that on Vishnu Tattva, we never take grains. In some places they are taking grains on Advaita Saptami. Advaita is Vishnu Tattva. Never grains, and also Shivji is Vishnu Tattva. On Shivratri, he also should be observed with a full fast. Nityananda Trayodasi, Janmastami, not Radhastami. Radhastami is not. Radharani is not Vishnu Tattva. So we can take non-grains on that day. But Gopunim, Nrsimha Chaturdasi, Ram Nomi, these days on Vishnu's, when the Vishnu avatars are appearing, always fasting from grains fully, and Advaita Saptami in particular. When we do this, we get the mercy of those personalities. If we neglect and think, oh, why should I bother with that, just ritualistic or something, then the mercy won't come. Then they will think, why should I bother with giving him the mercy? He's not bothering or honoring me. And by observing that fast of grains, which is actually beneficial very often for the body, it can help. It's not something detrimental. But those personalities will acknowledge that austerity that we performed in their benefit and bestow kripa, 100%, just like today, Ekadashi. we observe it carefully, and the creeper from the Lord will come on this day, 100%. Vijay, how should we respect the month of Kartik? Babaji, the month of Kartik is called Urja. Respecting Urja means performing seva of Sri Damodar by following the angas of bhakti such as Shravanam Kirtana in a regulated way during this month. So this is an anga of bhakti, to follow the rules and regulations of Kartik. Vijay, how should one observe Krishna's birthday? Babaji, Sri Janma Yatra means observing the festival of Krishna's appearance day on Krishnastami in the month of Bhadrapad, and of Mahaprabhu's appearance day on the full moon day Purnima of the month of Falgun. Surrendered bhaktas must certainly observe these festivals. If a surrendered bhakta means someone who wants to please Krishna, if we want, this is the instruction that Krishna gives directly to Uddhav. Rupa Goswami is giving us these same directives. Vijay, how should one faithfully serve and worship Paricharya, Sri Murti, with opulence suitable for a king? Babaji, loving enthusiasm is very necessary in the service and worship of Sri Murti. Krishna gives not only the insignificant fruit of mukti, but also the great fruit of bhakti to those who perform seva puja of Sri Murti with great enthusiasm. This greed, enthusiasm, utsaha. Vijay, what does it mean to relish Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of rasik bhaktas? Srimad Bhagavatam is the very sweet rasa of the desire tree of the Vedas, Nigamakalpa Tarogatitam Phalam, Sukhamukhat, Amrita, Dravan, Samyutam, saying in the 3rd verse of the Bhagavatam. By associating with people averse to rasa, one will be unable to taste the rasa of Srimad Bhagavatam, and the result will be aparad. One must taste the rasa of the shlokas of Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of those who are rasagyan, who are conversant with and are drinking that rasa, and who are qualified for Shuddha Bhakti. Are qualified for Shuddha Bhakti. That means they're enthusiastically walking that path to Shuddha Bhakti. Maybe they're not Shuddha Bhaktas, but they're enthusiastically going in that direction. They're sincere devotees. So we should relish the Bhagavatam with those who are qualified for Shuddha Bhakti. Speaking or hearing Srimad Bhagavatam in general assemblies will not award pure bhakti. Will not award pure bhakti. Powerful what he's saying here.
Like your standard temple Bhagavatam class, would that qualify?
Well, all those people hopefully in the standard temple class, but if it's a Sunday feast class, then you're probably not going to get so many people who are really wanting to taste the speciality of the verses and so on. And you more or less just have to preach hellfire and brimstone, like no meat, fish and eggs and stuff like that. That's basically, they're still very much engrossed in the animal propensities. They have to actually come from the animal place to a human place to begin with. It's the truth. Even if it's Mr. and Mrs. Dr. Bright, and they're very clean in all their habits and so on. But if they're contributing to killing cows, and if they're not observing proper control in sex life, and what else, gambling, and what's the other one? Oh, if they're taking any sort of intoxication at all, then it's just like an animal life. Really, it is. It is animal life. It's not devotional. There's no place in the devotional scriptures that support any type of intoxication, not even tea or coffee. What is the association of bhaktas who, Srimad Bhagavatam, yes, general assemblies will not award pure bhakti. We got the beautiful story of Gokarna. You remember in the Gokarna, they all came to hear the Bhagavatam, but the ghost, what's his name, Dinduli, embodied in a ghost body, he was in a bamboo stick, and every day of the Saptaha, one of the knots of the bamboo would burst. And that Dundukari was the ghost. So he was listening with such attention because he was in a ghost body, and the way he'd been killed was a flaming torch had been put into his mouth and his whole mouth was on fire. As a ghost, he still had that remembrance of that death. So he was desperate to hear the Bhagavatam. So he got liberated at the end, none of the others did. A Vaikuntha plane came and picked up Dundukari and then Gokarna, who was giving the instructor, said to the Vishnu, why not us? We also heard. He said, you weren't greedy. You weren't of the same enthusiasm as Dundukari was. Only Dundukari heard with such enthusiasm. But then they held another Saptaha later on, and they all understood that they had to listen really, 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 really attentively. Then they all became liberated in Vaikuntha. A huge Boeing 707 of a Vaikuntha airplane, Vimana, landed and took them all back to Vaikuntha. So that's that pastime. Babaji, associating with abhaktas, non-devotees, in the name of satsanga will not bring elevation. Oh, I have to read the question quite properly. Vijay, what is the association of bhaktas who are of the same mood, swajatiya, and affectionate, shnigda? We have this expression, swajatiya, shnigda, ashraya. These three qualifications are what we're seeking with our association. Babaji, associating with abhaktas, non-devotees, in the name of satsanga will not bring elevation in bhakti. The goal that bhaktas desire is to obtain service in Krishna's aprakat unmanifest lila, and one who has this desire should be known as a bhakta. One who has this desire only is known as a bhakta. Elevation in bhakti comes from associating with members of this group of bhaktas who are superior to oneself, always looking for that bhakta who can support and encourage our devotion. Without this sangha, the development of bhakti stops, and one acquires the nature of the class of people with whom one has sangha. In relation to sangha, Hari Bhakti Sudaya 851 says, Yasya yat sangiti pumsho manivat syat sartad guna swa kuladye tato diman swa yutanye eva samshrayat. Just as a jewel reflects the colors of objects around it, similarly, a person's nature becomes like that of those with whom he associates. Very obvious and clear. Therefore, one only becomes a pure sadhu by the association of pure sadhus. Sadhu Sangha, the association of advanced bhaktas, is beneficial in every way. Where Shastra gives advice that we should be free from mundane companionship, the purport is that one should associate with sadhus. Yes, give up asat sangha. Vijay, what is meant by Nam Sankirtan? Babaji, Nam is aprakat chaitanya ras, a transcendental living mellow, and within Nam there is not any scent of mundane consciousness. When the devoted jiva becomes purified through bhakti and renders service to Sri Harinam, Sri Nam personally manifests on his tongue. Nam cannot be accepted with material senses. This is how one should incessantly perform Nam Sankirtan, either alone or with others. So how do you perform Nam Sankirtan alone? By chanting alone, doing your japa mala, by reading alone is also Sankirtan, is Katha, Hari Katha, living in the holy Dham, etc. Vijay, by your mercy we have already understood something about Mathura Vas, living in Krishna's birthplace, Mathura. Now please explain the essence of these instructions. 64. Babaji, amongst the 64 angas, the last 5 are the most exalted. If one establishes even a slight connection with them and keeps aloof from offenses, even a slight connection with them, even just hearing about them today, we are establishing a slight connection with the 64 angas. Even if we're not following them strictly, we're establishing a slight connection. and keeps oneself aloof from offenses, then the state of bhav will arise by their unlimited, wonderful influence. Well, that's a wonderful carrot. That's a wonderful,
There's hope.
hope. Yes, just to go to that stage of bhav. Vijay, kindly tell us if there is something more that we should know in relation to this process. Babaji, the Shastras sometimes describe some intermediate fruits of these angas of bhakti in order to create ruchi for bhajan in those who are extroverted and impious. So if you're always looking at outside things, that's not to be encouraged. However, the main fruit of all these angas is to develop attachment to Krishna. All the activities of one who is knowledgeable and expert in bhakti should be within the angas of bhakti and not within the angas of karma. The practice of knowledge, jnana, and renunciation, vairagya, may sometimes assist somebody to enter within the temple of bhakti, but jnana and vairagya are not angas of bhakti because they make the heart hard. Understand that clearly. Whereas bhakti is very soft and tender by nature, bhaktas accept the jnana and vairagya that manifest of their own accord through the practice of bhakti. But jnana and vairagya cannot be the cause of bhakti, and bhakti easily awards results that knowledge and renunciation cannot give. Sudden bhakti gives rise to such ruchi for Hari Bhajan that even very strong attachment to sense objects decreases and vanishes. The sadhak must always practice yukta vairagya and always stay away from the spirit of deceitful renunciation. Falgu vairagya. Falgu is a river that runs under the ground. It doesn't even look like a river. It doesn't even act like a river, but it actually is a river, but it's under the ground. It's false. It's like a false river. So this Falgu vairagya is to be and also Markita vairagya. The renunciation of monkeys. We see monkeys all jumping around, but they all have so many wives, even though they don't have clothes or a bank balance or anything like that, or a home. They look renounced, but then they're not renounced at all. They're enjoying. Yukta vairagya means to accept all paraphernalia according to need and in a detached mood, knowing it to be related to Krishna. If you have $1 million or if you have $1, it's all to be utilized in Krishna's service. If things are actually related to Sri Hari, it is artificial to renounce them as worldly because of greed for mukti. Yes, don't be bewildered by this idea, this aspiration for mukti, for liberation. Don't be thinking that there's anything blissful in that place of mukti. This is called Falgu Vairagya, that mukti. Therefore, Adhyatmika Gyan and Falgu Vairagya should be given up. Sometimes bhakti is displayed to acquire wealth, disciples, and so on, but this is far from pure bhakti. In fact, such a show of bhakti is not actually an anga of bhakti at all. Don't we see this? Constantly on the circuit there are individuals who are just trying to propagate the size of their audiences and their material wealth simultaneously. Certainly in India is like that. We have these god men, they're called, and they have hundreds of thousands, and they're making such a fortune, and then it's discovered, they're getting busted periodically in India because they've seen them so often. Discrimination, vivek, and other qualities are also not angas of bhakti. Discrimination means like criticizing is not an anga, or using your intelligence is not an anga of bhakti. They are qualities of the practitioner. They are qualities of the practitioners of bhakti. Intelligence is a quality. Similarly, yama, niyama, good conduct, cleanliness, and so on are naturally present in people who are favorable towards Krishna. So they are also not angas of bhakti. You don't have to have them separately. Qualities such as inward and outward purity, austerity, and sense control take shelter of Krishna's bhaktas of their own accord. Of their own accord, the bhaktas do not have to endeavor for them separately. Some of the angas of bhakti that I have mentioned are principal angas. and one will attain perfection by firmly performing sadhana of any of these principal angas, or of several of them. I have explained everything about Vaidhi-sadhana-bhakti in a very brief way. Understand this point. Now you should understand this clearly, take it to heart and practice it with full force. So now we've come through this chapter, we've heard all these 64 angas. Now we should go over it again. We should examine it in relationship to our own lives and see what is going to be supportive in my own practice of bhakti. How is it going to bring me closer to pure devotion to Krishna? How is it going to support that? It's all glorification of Krishna. Every single anga has its origin in support of Krishna. So we needn't neglect anything, but perhaps we don't have to strictly follow absolutely every single anga, but we should not reject any anga. We can just, know it, and some we incorporate into our lives and some we don't. Now you should understand this clearly, take it to heart and practice it with full force. When Brajnath and Vijay Kumar heard these instructions from Babaji, they offered sastang dandavat pranams and said, Prabhu, please deliver us. We are trapped in the deep trench of pride. How beautiful that they say that. This is all our faults. All our defects is that we're trapped. If we're chanting 64 rounds a day, oh, I'm so proud, I must tell everyone. Let's let the whole world know. If I'm walking around with that kind of abhiman, how is that going to increase your connection, your bhakti to Krishna? Pride has to be purified. Has to be purified. Somehow or other. And it's really insidious how it suddenly comes out of nowhere. You think you've climbed over it, and then suddenly it'll just come back in a shot. It's a deep thing. Pratishta. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, in the whole forest of aparads, a whole forest of trees, the biggest tree in the forest is Pratishta. That is the biggest tree. Raghunath Das talks about it in his Manashiksha. We have to pray to be cured of that. Babaji Mahashaya replied, certainly Krishna will bestow his mercy upon you. That night, uncle and nephew returned home very late. So, this is the chapter on Vaidhi Bhakti concluded. And tomorrow, we'll have a little recap, and then we'll go into Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Kikar. I went a little quick at the end because I wanted to complete the chapter today, but I'm expecting you all to go over it again yourselves. You have the audio, you can listen to it anytime. You can take what is necessary from here to enhance our own unique personal bhakti, and pray for mercy of Guru and our Guru Varga to support us in our efforts to come quickly to Krishna Bhakti. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai.